Alrighty then. Welcome everybody to episode 15, 15, 15 of the Marvel Buddies podcast. How's it going there, addicts? Are you there with me here today?
Going great. I literally just got here.
Yup, yes he did. How was that Val match? I was watching it.
It was god awful. But
Ah,
it's fun.
I was
I was trying
following.
to pick
Yeah.
up the op.
Yeah. Just trying to pick up the op. It's unfortunate that we lose rounds because addicts can't seem to grab my op for me. You know. Yeah.
Just can't figure out the simple thing of picking up the op, eh?
Economy systems, man. So, a couple things with the stream today, and not just the stream, but the future of Marvel Buddies, hopefully. So for one, before we even get into this episode, there is a big spoiler warning for Hawkeye. In case you haven't seen the episodes, in case you wanted to go back and rewatch them, spoiler warnings are in effect for Hawkeye. I have given you the warning pre-joining at the very beginning. I, I, I will say it every time I get a new viewer. Spoiler warnings in effect. Um, but not only that, things may look a little bit weird today. I did get a new setup. I have a brand new PC, brand new monitor, brand new video recording device. So I'm still kind of focusing on fixing it and setting it up and optimizing it. So this is pretty much like my first test run with all of the new equipment. But hopefully we'll have all of that very much on the cards on deck very soon. And Addicts, I have to ask you this question, but are we still doing the proposition that I gave you?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
So there's a maybe in effect for that. If at any point we decide to do it, then I will let you guys know. But for today, addicts, I have finally delivered this character to you. You know,
Just
yeah,
like the
just like
show.
just like the show, I've finally given you Hawkeye. All right, this is who we're covering this week. We're covering Hawkeye.
How about that?
And so Hawkeye is a very tricky character. A lot of people may not particularly have read or like, gone into depth on Hawkeye himself as a character. So I do hope that with Hawkeye, you guys like keep an open mind on him. Um he's not the same as he is in the movies. I think Jeremy Renner portrayed a very good version of Hawkeye, but not accurate.
Yo.
What's up?
Um, on Panda Stream, they're showing a Hawkeye ad.
Oh, whoa! Would you look at that? Yeah.
How about
How
that?
about that? Maybe if I were affiliated, I'd get a Hawkeye ad. It's tough. It's tough. Um,
Hey, you will get
we'll
there.
get there. We'll get there. We're getting there. All right. But Hawkeye made his debut in Tales of Suspense number 57, which go debuts way back before any of those classic, Spider-Man number 1 issues, Spider-Man number 2 issues. Tales of Suspense is typically where you would find Iron Man comics. And he debuted on September 1st of 1964 to the writers Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, right? Not Jack Kirby. But this comic pretty much begins at Stark Industries. We're talking about Iron Man here, and there's a construction worker there. He's having some kind of like major accident, and Iron Man is there and he saves the construction worker. And Happy's there. He's like, "Hey boss, I know you're really tight with what's up, Alway." But he's like, Happy's like, what's up? He's like, Iron Man, I know you're really tight with Tony Stark. I was wondering if maybe you can tell him if he can tell Pepper to go on a date with me, kind of situation. And 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 it was like this like kind of telephone game Happy wanted to play, and so Iron Man's like, yeah, sure, I'll put in a good word for you. I'll tell the boss to tell Pepper, and Tony comes back, he takes off the suit, and he's like, wow, that was real awkward, but I'll go ask Pepper for Happy. I mean, I'm not really into her, which he was lying to himself. He really was into her, but it was more of like I'm not into her, but I I kind of want to like see where this goes kind of situation. But anyway, he goes up to Pepper. He takes off his Iron Man armor and he's like, "Oh, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to go on a date with Happy." But right as he was gonna say with Happy, Pepper cuts him off. Pepper is clearly like fallen for him, and she's like, "Oh, a date? Yes, I'd love to go on a date with you." And now Tony's stuck on a date with Pepper that he kind of didn't want to go to. And as he asked the question, Happy had walked in. Happy is now very much not happy. Very sad that he had been
Happy is
let down.
sad.
Happy is sad. Poor Mr. Hogan, you know. And and so Tony's like, I gotta take her on the crappiest date imaginable so that she could date Happy. What a bro. What a bro moment there. And so
What an absolute G.
yeah. And
Oh
so
my god.
he goes, "All right, what is the worst place in New York that I could take a girl on a date with? How about Coney Island and just have her walk for hours? How about that?" To answer always, I did see the last Spider-Man, and I did an episode on it last week. If you or 2 weeks ago, if you want to go back and watch it, the link is on that YouTube channel. I did cover Peter Parker. Um, but anyway, um, they head up to Coney Island. They're walking around. They got her like this ice cream, and it's like 1,000 degrees, so it's like melting all over her hand. And they're like, "Oh, hey, look, there's a show going on. Let's go watch it." And it's like, "Come here, come watch this man with an arrow, a bow and arrow that never misses." And they're like, "All right, let's go check it out." And it's of course the one and only Clint Barton, the Carnival Man, taking shots, at targets, and everyone's kind of like upset. They're like, "This is kind of crap. You just bought an archer. You just hired an archer to shoot targets. Pretty cool, but whatever." And so while that's all going on, just outside, this will happen a lot, by the way, in this episode. The Ferris wheel like falls off its hinges and starts crashing and like rolling around everywhere. So of course, Iron Man is like, I gotta do something here. So he ditches Pepper and puts on, this is the first appearance of the briefcase armor, where he kind of, it's not really, he doesn't actually do it like in Iron Man 2 where the briefcase turns into the armor. He kind of just pulls out um the suit and puts it on.
Pulls it out from the
Yeah, from a
briefcase.
briefcase. Yeah, a whole Iron
That's
Man
so
suit from a
lame.
briefcase. He's just like, "Oh, time to put on my gloves and my
Dude, that's
boots."
some cosmic calculator shit.
I exactly, bottomless pit, cosmic calculator nonsense.
Bottomless suitcases, bottomless.
I want that to be the next weapon I cover in the Marvel Buddies weapons. Just a bottomless empty briefcase with Iron Man armor in it. But anyway, he pulls it out, puts it on, saves the people, and Hawkeye is extremely upset, very jealous. He's like, "Yo, what the hell is going on? Everyone was watching me, and then this stupid Ferris wheel breaks, and now everyone's watching Iron Man." And, pretty much he goes on the belief that he can do exactly what Iron Man can do, but better. It's like, why can't I do the things that Iron Man does? All it takes are a lot of mechanical gimmicks and a colorful costume and a disguise. And that's what he does. He goes home and he starts making a costume, right? And this is what Hawkeye looks like. Bam. Hawkeye. Woo! Very much not like,
Look at that sexy
yeah,
man.
definitely not what he
That
looks like in the
non-Jeremy
movies.
Renner.
Not Jeremy Renner. Hawkeye's also, in case anyone
How do
wanted to
you
know,
see that?
very
How
blonde.
do you see that and be like, let's cast Jeremy Renner?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say, but definitely I think he did a good job at portraying Hawkeye. It's just like
He
it looks
definitely does.
nothing like him though. But yeah, he's
This is more how he looks in Ultimate Alliance right
yeah,
here.
definitely. Um, but but so stupid. But anyway, immediately wanting to hit his mark, but he goes out to yep, yep, shitty puns. But anyway, he goes out to patrol, and there's a immediate jewelry store that's being robbed, and he's like, "Alright, well, I'm gonna stop these criminals and return the jewels." And that's what he does. He stops the criminals, goes to pick up the jewels, and is walking to return them when he sees the police, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. what are you doing? It's some costumed freak with jewels. Must have been the one that robbed the bank or the jewelry store or whatever. You're under arrest." And Hawkeye's like, "Damn, how am I gonna get out of this one?" And then a really super
Bow and
hot,
arrow.
yeah, bow and arrow. Probably not the way he expected to go. He didn't want to actually hurt anyone, but a super hot, gorgeous babe in a car pulls up next to him, and she's like, "Hey, Suka, get into car." And she's also Russian, and here's him trying to, halt in the name of the law. Isn't that the one quote from from you know what I'm talking about, right? What game is it from?
RoboCop.
No, it could be, yeah, it could be RoboCop. I was more thinking of it's like this one RPG game. I can't remember. It's
Skyrim?
yeah. I was thinking Skyrim with the police officers.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a reference to Skyrim way
Yep,
back
yep,
in the 60s.
exactly. Yep.
100%.
Mhm.
Skyrim was even
Skyrim was
coming out on paper form.
Yep, in Hawkeye, in a Hawkeye comic, in a Spider Iron Man comic. But anyway, hot, beautiful Russian babe who's also hating Iron Man pulls up and is like, "Hey, I can help you." Oh, look what it is. It's the Black Widow. Haha. And of course, when Hawkeye gets on the car and he's like, "Wow, you're pretty. I'm gonna do whatever you want," and the world sees that, they're like, "Ah, costumed freak joins common criminal Black Widow. Clearly, this costume freak must also be a villain." And so, they drive home. They drive off. And she takes him into like this laboratory area, and he's like, "This is clearly not your home." And she's like, "No, I'm renting it from someone." Clearly, like not telling her that she's a Russian spy. Um, and he like picks up some books, and there's a bunch of tech inside, and he's like, "Wow, I can really improve all my arrows with this." And she's like, "Look, I'm willing to give you all the tech that you need as long as you're willing to take care of Iron Man, but I want Tony Stark alive. I want that bodyguard dead, but I want Tony Stark alive." Little do they know, one and the same. But um he's like, "I what do I get in return?" kind of situation. It's like, "Well, I can learn to love the man that beats my enemy." And he's like, "Okay, you know." And that's how it goes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I picture that exact
Exact.
interaction to
Yep.
go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, okay.
Micro, you've had how long to prepare for this episode?
To be fair, I did finish off the episode like at 5, and in case anyone wants to know how many pages I got up to, let's see, 114. So
Oh my god!
yep, this is probably the longest episode. There's a lot of pictures though, I should say. Because I did not get to cover a lot because spoiler for next week, you are getting that Hawkeye episode from the TV show. I'm covering that next week as well. So you're kind of getting like a 2-in-1 sort of situation here. But anyway, backstory with Hawkeye. Um, they end up like tinkering, making the stuff like that he wants to. And while all this is going on, Tony's like taking off his armor. He feels bad about the date, and he's like, "I gotta try and like ask her out again and see, maybe I can redeem myself for this like it was terrible, and I wanted it to be terrible, but like not this terrible." And so he goes to ask her out, but by the time he gets there, Pepper's like really upset, really like she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna show him who's boss." And she's Pepper's like, "Oh, Happy, I'd love to go on a date with you to this creepy horror movie that you bought tickets for, and totally doesn't seem like you're gonna murder me in my sleep situation. I'd love to go. Haha." And then she like glares back at like Tony, and she's just like, "I'm going on a date with this simpleton man that I never wanted to date because you took me on this shitty date to Coney Island." Glares back. Coney Island comes up a lot, by the way, but
Bro, Happy is a G.
Happy is a G. Happy is
Happy
definitely a
is a
G.
G.
Yeah, definitely. And he's like,
Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I
yeah,
need to start taking chicks to Coney Island.
yeah, definitely. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my I'm gonna get on that F train and just take him to the Coney Island.
And then if not,
I
bro,
mean, yeah. You
it's
could.
horror movie
It's horror movie
time.
time. Yeah, of course, clearly. Or
Be like happy.
yep. If that doesn't work, I mean, there's always Plan C. You could always just subjugate them with your magnetic powers, right? Like clearly, when you
Mm.
take over the world.
No, United Nations.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The United Nations. The one they force themselves to give you their power. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, um, while all of this is going on, Hawkeye's like, alright, well, she wanted me to take out Iron Man. Let me go do that. And so he sneaks through like this little Iron Man like Stark Industries truck, and then he like suction cup arrows his way to the top. He like boop 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 boop, and then he like blows up a hole into like the front door, and he's like, ha, I got in. Now it's time to take care of Iron Man. And Iron Man's like, all right, well, before anyone gets into danger, I gotta go suit up and save the day. And so that's what he does. He gets his suit, flies out, and he's like, all right, where are you at? And immediately Iron Man's like getting pelted with arrows, and he's like, who the hell is coming at me with this like Paleolithic era weapon that is clearly not gonna hurt my invincible Iron Man armor? Oh, wait a minute. The arrows inside had a chemical that's rusting my suit. It is the like biggest high IQ play from Hawkeye, I should say. And so
He has an arrow that can do anything.
he has an arrow that can do pretty
In
much
every
anything.
situation, he has an arrow for
Yep.
it.
And you know, it starts to rust. He's like, I gotta replace the rusted parts of my armor, and he dive bombs under a table and hides from Hawkeye, and then just starts removing like.
Another suitcase.
You're not wrong, bro. That's exactly what he does. He
Oh no.
starts pulling stuff off. He strips off like the Iron Man armor and just leaves it there, and then runs away, pulls out another suitcase, and goes, Iron Man armor, put it on, and he just starts like.
One in doubt, another Iron Man suit.
Pretty much, and
Where is this at in the movie?
it's, I really wish they I'm glad they did it, but I really wish they did put this in, because it's like this is the stupidest thing ever. The 60s, am I right, people? Anyway, um
He just happened to have a spare.
spare like left leg and like right arm. He's like, oh, in this suitcase.
I kept thinking he conveniently hit me at my spare parts.
Anyway,
I don't know. Veronica is kind of like that, in my opinion. Like the fact that he just has that.
he just has like a bunch of like stuff in his suitcase. Just like, oh,
Well, he
next I'll
just
put
has
out.
Veronica in orbit. Like
True,
it's just ready.
True. It's yeah. It is. It is.
He's just like, well,
Well,
just in case.
Just in case I need another arm to take out the Hulk. Bop, bop. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it would be cooler if he used that instead of a suitcase, but we can't all have what we want here. It's the 60s.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so Hawkeye, he's like looking for Iron Man after he bolted out of the room, and he's like, "Oh look, Iron Man
After he
armor on the
bolted.
floor."
After he bolted Micro, really.
Yeah, yeah, ha 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 ha. Funny puns. Ha
How
ha.
many more puns are we gonna get?
As much as I can think of. Actually, that one wasn't even like intended.
I'm leaving this episode.
um, but anyway, Hawkeye, he's like, I'm gonna grab all this armor that he just conveniently left under this table and take it back to Natasha so that she can love me and do whatever she wants with this armor. And that's what he does. He takes it and starts driving off. But before he can make it anywhere, Iron Man, fully puts on the suit, flies out, and he's like,
Even though he had the arrow that could rust it,
mm-hmm,
had to know a little bit about the suit already.
mm-hmm.
Okay, we need more. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He had to know like what kind of like
I'm
material it
looking
was
way too
made of.
deeply into this.
Yeah.
I'm looking way
I
too
mean-
deeply into
I mean,
this.
it again, hindsight is 2020 here. But anyway, starts driving off. Iron Man's like flying above him, and he's like, "Alright, well, there's only one course of solution here. We gotta blow up the car." And that's exactly what he does. He just shoots a giant laser beam out of his arm, blows up the car. Hawkeye like bolts
That's
out
the
of it.
panel I want to see. Scroll down.
Sorry. The next thing you get to see is Hawkeye slipping.
Oh.
It's
Whoa.
whoa.
Saying I
Big
did it.
letdown.
Wait, go back down.
I did it. Yeah. Yo, I'll explain this. We're getting there. We're getting there. So to my viewers that are
he really,
not,
he really did it, didn't
he
he?
did do it. He did do it.
Had to do it to him, I guess.
To my viewers who are not from New York, Coney Island is pretty much towards like the ocean area, the waterfront. So there are like boardwalks and stuff like that.
Hence the name
Hence
Coney
the name
Island.
Coney Island. Yes. But it's also like a big like attraction park. There's like Ferris wheels and roller coasters and whatnot.
And
Um,
I don't know where the original roller coaster was. The Coney Island Special,
the Cyclone.
the Cyclone,
Mm-hmm. Addicts, you
a
are.
roller coaster without a chain lift. You had to physically push your own cart up.
What the fuck? Is that real? Was that a real thing?
Yes,
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. I just thought you were talking about like just the regular Cyclone or whatever.
that's what the original Cyclone was.
Cool, cool, cool. I see. I didn't know that. You have to push
Coney
your.
Island hot dogs.
Yeah, that I did know. Coney Island hot dogs. They had the
Why they call a chili dog the Coney?
Is that a thing? I never actually got. I'm not a hot dog
You're
person,
from
so I
New
never
York.
got a hot dog
You are from New
I
York.
I know, but I never actually.
I'm leaving.
Okay,
Goodbye.
have a good one. um, yeah. Anyway, um, he makes it to Coney Island, and like
Time for me to start dropping offensive stuff for you to fire me
for
live on
for
air.
real. All right, Alex. I'm sorry. This isn't working out anymore. You gotta go.
John C. Riley.
Oh damn. Unfortunate.
It's
Uh,
unfortunate for you. Just kicks me out.
leave now. Gone.
Get out.
Inside jokes, people. Anyway.
Pick up my op.
Yeah. When Addicts doesn't pick my up, all right, sir, you're gone. Uh anyway,
He actually removed
I
me.
did move him from the call for a second there. You guys couldn't see it though. But anyway, they make it to Coney Island, and Hawkeye's like trying to shoot arrows at him, but Iron Man's like magnetizing it back. So Hawkeye's like, I gotta shoot something that's not made of metal, and he shoots a rope at him, and Iron Man gets tangled up for like a split second, while Hawkeye tries to bolt it, and he like rips it off, and then Hawkeye's like booking it, and he's on the boardwalk, right?
He just happens to have a rope.
Yeah, he does. He has like a rope arrow that he shoots, and so he's running on the boardwalk, and Iron Man's like, all right, well I know how to take care of this, and he just like dive bombs into the boardwalk, and wham, rip, slip. There goes Hawkeye. He
I
falls.
did it.
Yeah, I did it. And he falls onto like one of the logs. And Iron Man does this cartoon thing where he pulls an entire wooden log to an abnormal situation to where it's like bent really awkwardly, and then flings him. And so Hawkeye goes flying, but like dive bombs into the ocean. And Iron Man's like, all right, well I gotta pull him out, and he does. And he's like, you're not gonna drown on me. I need to know who sent you. And out of the like corner of his eye, you can see Natasha pulls up in the Benz. She's like right there, and he's like, "All right, well clearly I know what's going on here." And so he goes to like
And
deal with.
Natasha assassinates Hawkeye.
No, unfortunately not. We have to have
Our
Hawkeye for a lot
boy.
longer. But anyway, Iron Man goes to try and take care of Natasha, and Hawkeye's like, "No, that's my lover. I love her." And he pulls out the arrow. Bang! It's a freaking demolition blast warhead, freaking nuke inside of an arrow. But of course, because
Nuki.
Iron Man, it ricochets off like his shoulder pad and onto the car that Natasha's in. And so that blows up, and then Natasha was like unconscious. So Hawkeye like pretty much just books it, picks her up, and then runs to her boat, which is conveniently parked on the piers of Coney Island. Um, just booking it with her, running, and then Iron Man's like, well, I gotta go take care of her. Here's him with Natasha running to the boat that's conveniently parked like 20 steps away from them, and he gets her into the boat. A thick fog starts to like close in on them, and
Thick.
thick fog, and unfortunately for Iron
Like
Man,
thick with two C's
like
or
thick with like 4Cs, dog. It's just
Oh
like
my
Iron Man
god.
through his amazing high-tech armor can't see through it, and he does this really like emo sort of like walking on the beach sort of thing because he let them go. That's it. That's pretty much it for that. Um, yep. That's Hawkeye, his debut. Following the situation, we'll get into all of this with his origin story. They do like flashback all of this, but following this, he goes around working as a villain for a while, mostly for the Black Widow, until eventually he becomes an Avenger. Jarvis, who isn't an AI, is a real person. Um, Walks up to him and he's like, "Hey, I know you're trying to go clean. You can come talk to the Avengers." And then he like ties up Jarvis and he's like, "I'm gonna freaking murder you," but then joins the Avengers.
Doesn't.
He eventually does. He's like, "I'm
Joins
gonna
the
go clean."
Avengers.
He goes clean. He goes clean. And then he's very much let down. He wanted to join that team that consisted of Iron Man, Thor, the Wasp, and Ant-Man, but instead joins the team that consists of Captain America, Hawkeye, Quicksilver, or well, he is Hawkeye. Captain America, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and himself end up making a team, but Hawkeye ends up leaving as he doesn't like that Captain America's bossing him around. Oh, but it's Captain America, you know.
Then
Um,
is that when he goes into Ronin?
no, it isn't. We will talk a little bit about the Ronin, um, but not really. But pretty much he goes solo for a little while, joins back into the Avengers roster, and then he's pretty much an Avenger up until like 1985. At this point, um, Age of Ultron has happened. We have Vision on the team, and Vision says there's a lot of superheroes in New York City, like a lot, and there are none anywhere else in the United States or for the world for that matter. Why don't we expand our sphere of influence? And so Hawkeye's like, all right, I'll make a West Coast Avengers team. That same, which is the name of the comic that comes out, the West Coast Avengers. Hawkeye takes Mockingbird, who will inevitably, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, um, be his
Inevitably.
wife slash ex-wife, Mockingbird, Bobby Morse, Wonder Man, Tigra, and then Iron Man, which at the time, because of the alcoholism, is not Tony Stark. It's Rhodey. Rhodey puts on the Iron Man suit, and for a very long time, including the Secret Wars comic that we covered, which by the way, unfortunately, was not able to be posted on YouTube. I did not have the file. But it's very very sad. But um, the yeah, Rhodey joins the West Coast Avengers team, and they go to fight a bunch of like new and old villains, Ultron, Graviton, and then at one point they even fight like the Thing and a bunch of other guys. They get Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and Moon Knight to join the team. Hank Pym is pretty much there just as a science advisor though, and he even does a really cool thing. He saves Firebird from a suicide attempt. But what I'm trying to get here is what is Hawkeye's most defining factor and a big Marvel cover-up since 1985 that they've wanted to like brush away and forget. But you'll never forget. Once it's out, it's out. Um, and ultimately, um, if people have read Hawkeye, you know that like he's not a very good character. He's very much a dickhead. Like people don't like this character for a reason, and it's because of what I'm about to explain. If anyone doesn't know, eventually the team adds the Phantom Rider, who if you haven't seen Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, and I wouldn't hate you if you didn't. It was kind of mid. The Phantom Rider is a guy that rode the horse, the old man. He's dressed up in all white. This is him. And in one attempt, um, a AI villain from the X-Men named Dominius teleports and like brings everyone back in time, except for Mockingjay, who at the time is Hawkeye's wife, and the Phantom Rider. And the Phantom Rider is very much in love to an extreme obsession in love with Mockingbird. So he pretty much drugs, rapes, and like does horrific things to her until she beats him up by a cliff edge, and then he falls to his death, he is a ghost, so it's very unclear, and he does continue to show up in those next issues, but he does die. Um, and eventually Hawkeye comes back towards the end of that issue, and believing that an Avenger could never rape someone, sides with the Phantom Rider instead of Bobby Morse, his own wife, which eventually leads to their divorce and long-standing issues that they end up having because of the
Well,
fact that
that
yeah,
definitely took an
it
unexpected turn.
you go from like this one sort of thing with Hawkeye that you believe to like this like straight up like you are the epitome of ass. Yeah, pretty much. And then the US agent joins the team. And yeah.
Oh boy,
Mockingbird,
U.S.
US agent.
agent.
Yep. Yep. If anyone hasn't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, very much recommend. But beyond that, after a while, Mockingbird, Tiger, and Wonder Man leave because of that no killing rule. Pretty much with that like killing rule, and with the Phantom Rider, I left it very vague. Um, in case anyone wants me to cover Mockingbird, I will definitely cover that. And if anyone hasn't seen Hawkeye, Addicts, have you finished Hawkeye?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, you
I still
probably
haven't even watched a single episode.
that's tough, bro. That's tough. Um, so do you wanna deafen for a quick second? I will DM you when I'm ready.
Sounds good.
All right. Um, perfect. He is deafened. That's unfortunate for him. If anyone in the chat has not seen Hawkeye, I do recommend you mute the stream until I give you my thumbs up. Um, I'll give you a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you guys have been warned. Um, at the end of Hawkeye, you guys see that little watch, that pocket watch that is given to Hawkeye's wife Laura with the number 19. That is Agent 19, aka Mockingjay. So again, if anyone wants me to cover that, I will. But besides that, you're good. I will DM Addicts to undeafen. I can't type. There you go. That was pretty much it. Anyone that was muted. It wasn't a very big thing, but to some it might be. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of things that go down um with the West Coast Avengers. Sorry, I couldn't English
Back.
there. Yeah, what's up? Glad you didn't hear those spoilers. They're fairly big. Well, to some. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes down with it, and then Hawkeye, not only as an Avenger, but also as a Defender and Thunderbolt, he's joined a lot of different teams. He's gone solo. He's done his own thing. There's a lot to cover with Hawkeye. But if anyone, by the way, this comic took me like a whole week pretty much to hunt down, which was Hawkeye Blind Spot by Jim McCann. If anyone wants to read this, this is Hawkeye's entire backstory pretty much. Covered with like real good suspense. Um, so it begins post the Dark Avengers event in which Norman Osborn replaces Iron Man as the director of Shield. If you guys remember during Civil War, Iron Man was the director of Shield after those events. And then after an unsuccessful invasion from the Skrulls, where Deadpool really goofed up there, and instead of giving the like plans to kill the Skrull Queen to Nick Fury, he gave it to Norman Osborn instead, and Norman took full advantage, killed the Queen, became the hero, and as well as the director of Shield, and then created a subgroup called Hammer. This is all like backstory to this comic, but pretty much he's creating a new world order, in which he has supervillains, Namor, Emma Frost, the Hood, Cable, Loki, Doctor Doom. They all carry out his agenda. If you guys go back way, 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 way back to episode 1 when I covered Loki, that one comic in which everything makes zero sense. Um, to anyone that's been around from there, it's the one in which Loki shotguns the fish or RPGs the fish. Um,
Um,
yeah.
um,
No one? No one? Uh,
um.
anyway,
Wished I would have started Marvel Buddies with that.
I did. Episode 1 was with that. But
I
this is
wished I would have started
oh
Marvel
yeah,
Buddies with that.
that would have been great if you were there. That's unfortunate. But anyway, Loki. Um, in that one episode, in that one issue where they like the first appearance of Lady Loki, where Loki tricks Thor into killing Bor, his grandfather. It's like a big whole thing. Pretty much while all this is happening, it makes it incredibly difficult for most heroes to do their job. So Hawkeye, instead of being Hawkeye, goes underground and becomes Ronin, and it really messes with his credibility as Hawkeye, with who he is as Hawkeye, um, which you definitely see in the Hawkeye TV show. Um, but pretty much after all of this is over, the Avengers go back to normal. Things are okay. But with all the things that have happened with him, Hawkeye's abilities are wavering. He's had a lot of blunt force trauma happen to him, and unfortunately, on their first mission, the Avengers, which consists of Thor, Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Spider-Woman, take on the Absorbing Man and his crew. So it's like Tiger Shark, the Absorbing Man, and a bunch of like random nobodies. Um, but pretty much Hawkeye's like blabbing or
Bunch of
babbing on.
random no.
You see,
That's what I want you to cover.
who? The bunch of random
Cover a
nobodies?
bunch of random nobodies.
Got you. That's next week's episode. To Crown, who
Oh,
just
good.
came in and said some blasphemous words. No, no, definitely not. I very much believe. Did you see the death battle? By the way, Hawkeye wins that. Hawkeye beats Hawkeye beats Green Arrow. Okay, you know, I very much disagree with everything being said here. Green Arrow is nowhere close to Hawkeye, except for the fact that he was voiced by the same guy that voiced Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Fox voice actor whose name I'm forgetting. But yeah, y'all, no, I'm not. I do like DC. I'm done with this blasphemy. I'm done with this blasphemy. Yeah, he is a dickhead. Hawkeye is kind of mid, but he is definitely better than Green Arrow. I'm done with this. I'm not even gonna look at chat anymore after all this blasphemy. Anyway, 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 anyway. Hawkeye, he takes a shot after like blasting and boasting at everybody, and he misses. And Iron Man's like, bro, this isn't the time for you to start missing. The fight ends, and Iron Man does an evaluation on Hawkeye, and pretty much, he's like, you took too many blows to the head, and your range of your shots has gone down from point 0.7 to point 0.3, in that range. And he's like, we got to see what's going on. And so he goes back. Dr. Donald Blake, who, if you guys remember, is the alter ego of Thor, treats him, and they talk about how he's going blind. Clint is going blind. Um, he, which is very hard for an archer to be able to shoot if he can't see what he's shooting. And so they tell him that he has occipital blindness, and that it's not affecting his eyes, but the brain's ability to receive images. And so he has like swelling in his head and his brain, and it's getting bigger and it's growing, and it's gonna get worse, and he might start seeing flashbacks. Things that aren't moving might start to move, and things are gonna be really weird. So, like I said, he starts seeing flashbacks, and of course, we immediately cut to his family and his past. Now, Hawkeye, as much as I just blasted on him about how much of an ass he is and how terrible Hawkeye is. Um,
He does something heroic.
he has a very tragic and terrible backstory. Um, so here's his dad, who like is literally beating the crap out of him. Um, right, and then his mom comes in. He's like, "Hey, just chill
Oh
out."
no, it's Kevin Feige.
God, it doesn't he look like Kevin Feige?
It kind of does.
Little buff.
That's
I
just
can see the
that's how he
buffness.
feels about the actual
When
character.
when Tom Holland starts leaking all the information, he just starts beating the crap out of him. It's like, you want one too? But pretty much he beats his son, and he's like, "Are you want a matching black eye to go with your son?" And yeah, one night, since he is a raging alcoholic, he takes his wife out while drunk, and they hit a tree. And to make things worse, he's an orphan. He goes to an orphanage, Ignatius, and he's a teenager. If most of you guys like know the adoption system, you're probably as a teenager, especially one as close to Hawkeye in the 15s and 16s, are probably not going to get adopted.
Yeah, you don't
Um,
have good
yep,
chances.
most people want like little babies, right? So
Mhm.
since no one was gonna adopt him, he ran away, joined the circus with his older brother. They were piling up elephant shit, not dog shit. They were piling up elephant shit. Um, and pretty much a very suspicious man with a fancy beard and a cool uniform says, "You guys want to do some dangerous stuff?" And to anyone that hasn't seen Hawkeye, they did the role right, bro. They very clearly did this. They did this so perfectly. Look at this. Look at how accurate this looks. Um, yep, that's Jack Duquesne, aka the Swordmaster. Um, you guys get to see more of him during Hawkeye. He's pretty much there from the beginning. Enjoy. But we cut back to
That guy just looks like a dick.
he is a terrible person. He is a not bueno person. Um, but he does take in Hawkeye. He takes him in. He's like, "You're going to be my child." I can center this a little better. Hold on, I'm moving this there. Better. Sorry. Um, and he's like, they take him in. He's like, "You're gonna be my children, and we're gonna teach you how to do stuff for the carnival." And we cut back to Iron Man, who gives Tony like this, or Iron Man gives Clint this like headgear. He fixes up his cowl, and he's like, "I gave you these pair of sunglasses, and I put those same sunglasses in the visors of your cowl, so you should see now in infrared, so that way you're a little more accurate or like you can adjust better to the blindness that's about to hit you." And he does. He gets a pretty decent hit on this apple that Iron Man throws, and right as he's doing that, we get another flashback back to his brother, him in the hospital with his brother. His brother's name is Barney, in case anyone wanted to know. Um, but he's like, you can't just leave the swordman, and he tells him, he's like, the swordsman was embezzling money, this dude, and he's like, it's because the carnival, the circus was ripping him off. He's just taking what's his, and he's like, he broke my leg. It's like, you did that to yourself. You abandoned the people that like brought you in, kind of situation. And while Barney leaves, there's a weird, creepy dude in the corner of the hospital room. This guy. Yeah. Yeah, real weird. But he's like, come on, with your hawk eyes, I'll teach you some tricks. I didn't
With
even
your
have to
hawk eyes.
I didn't even have to make the pun here, bro. It just happens naturally. But yep, that's pretty much what goes on, and he teaches him how to shoot arrows, and he's like, you're pretty good, you're gonna be better. But you can't forget, you always gotta have a trick up your sleeve.
Oh yeah?
Yep, trick
Yeah?
arrows. Yep, trick arrows.
Yep.
Yep. And
Have an arrow for everything.
have an arrow for everything. And one night, him and this guy's name, by the way, is Trickshot. So one night, him and Trickshot are like being heroes, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, what's happening?" And it's like, "Oh, it's Robin Hood. Let's waste them." And he shoots everybody up, and oh, it's his brother Barney, and he's like, "You shot me." And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing, Robin? Running in with the mob?" And he's like, "That's blah, 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 blah." Trick Shot's like, "We got what we have. We got all the money that we wanted. We gotta leave now." And he's like, "That's what you wanted? You wanted to rob the people, pretty much." And he's like, "If you want to stay, fine. Stick around. I don't even have to make these up, bro. Stick around. Stick. Stick around? No? Okay. Anyway.
You didn't hear that?
Yeah, I did. I did. But anyway, he runs away. Hawkeye needs treatment, but after pretty much what goes on here, we go back all the way to Tales of Suspense. I'm not scrolling up, but here's the carnival that it's at. Here's Iron Man saving the people, and he's like, I want to do what he does. He makes the suit. And then on their first outing, here's Iron Man fighting him and the Black Widow.
There's that guy. I'm gonna go shoot his legs in the future.
Yep.
I
Clickbait.
want to do what he does.
I'm clickbaiting this right now, people. This is my clickbait image. I'm spending an abnormally long time on this image so that I can get views. Anyway.
That is your thumbnail.
Yep, thumbnail, baby. Anyway.
You gotta make sure to have that grin there.
Anyway, he picks up an issue of the Daily Bugle. Wow, everything's connected. And on the front page, it's like Hawkeye, criminal, and then Avengers, save the day. Here they are. And so, you know, Hawkeye is pretty down bad there. He just wanted to be a hero, but everyone thinks he's a freak. So what's going on back in the real world? Not the flashbacks. He comes back and Maria Hill has a call. He comes up to him. She's like, "Hey, you got a visitor. It's your old teacher, Trickshot. He's dying of cancer." And so Clint's like, "All right, we'll take him to Donald Blake to have him treated." But when he gets there, he's like, "This dude has mere minutes to live," and he's like, "You might as well just say your piece with this guy. We don't know him, but you do. And you seem to have some sort of bad blood going on with him, so might as well just talk." And Clint's like, "Look, I've forgiven you already, so just rest easy and see you in the afterlife, I guess." And he's like, "Nope, I gotta tell you something before I die. There's a guy, I don't know who he is, but he hired me to train some kid, and this kid is just as good as you. He's very dangerous because he really hates you and he wants to hurt you." And back at the circus, this is them. They're talking. The people. He's like, I've been waiting a long time, and unlike Chisholm being this guy, that's his last name, he, pew 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 pew. I've got a lot more tricks up my sleeve. And whoa, it's Baron Zemo working together with this dude, who I will explain exactly who he is. Anyway, and he goes, I know this guy Hawkeye, I'm gonna break him, and I want vengeance for him. I want him to feel all the pain and loss, right? Here's them. And next issue, of course, Hawkeye is not available for active duty. He's clearly going blind, and Captain America benches him. He's like, "You can't be going out." But Hawkeye, being Hawkeye, says, "Yo, Chief, this ain't gonna work out. I need to go out and hunt someone." So he goes and he goes out and pretty much is fighting people. Cap's like, you can't be doing this. You can't be going out and taking fights. And they they fight each other in the streets, Civil War 2.0. And immediately he gets hit with another flashback. There's this old lady getting mugged, and Hawkeye blasts them. He shoots their lapels with arrows, and they run away. And the old lady just like, "I know who you are. You don't have good intentions. You're just a thug like these buffoons." But the other guy is like, "He's a hero. He really saved us." And after this, like I said,
he's a good guy.
he's a hero. He's a good guy. After this, he believes that he can put his talents to good use. If you're serious about reforming, there's no better place to start here. Va 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 boom. Woo, wasp. Anyway, immediately, he joins the Avengers team, but like I said, it was a very big letdown as he joins the Captain America roster, and he believes that it's not what he had signed up for. It's a huge letdown, and he doesn't want to be taking orders from Captain America. So, you know where the door is, mister. Always barking orders doesn't make you any better than me. He leaves. Eventually, he does join back, but then there's this real sick image. Hawkeye shooting Captain America's shield. which is the hologram shield, not the actual shield. Um, and yep, it disrupts like the like he shoots it with this polyester foam, and it like turns it into just like smoke. But then Cap like they had this like training moment where they revealed that the two of them were training. I think it's did I put it down here? No, I didn't. Um, but pretty much what ends up going is like Cap shows him his moves and he's like, "Oh, you gotta distract your opponents and then go in for the real attack." And that's what he was doing. And he's like, get to get the real weapon closer to target. And he's like, "Target me arrow." Saps Captain America, gets on his hover bike and just zoom and
Just dips.
dips out. And he's like, "Where you're going, no one can follow, even if you let him in." And he's like, "I hope you're ready for this, Clint," because he knows he's going blind. And then there's another pretty much another flashback, but this one it's with the Avengers roster. This is around like the 70s, early 80s, pretty much. But the team consists of the Black Panther, Vision, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, telling him that he needs to sit out for a specific mission because that mission is to take out the Black Widow and bring him in. And they're like, "Hawkeye, we need to bench you." And so he's clearly pissed. He's like, "I'm not gonna sit on the sidelines while they go after the girl I love." So he takes a change of outfit, finds some, pin particles lying around, and just goes chug, and he becomes Goliath, the hero known as Goliath. That is originally uh Hawkeye. And
That is something I never knew
yep,
until this very moment.
Goliath.
That.
Hawkeye has multiple aliases, not just as the Ronin, but also as the growing hero Goliath, who, not Hawkeye, but the original Goliath, Ben Foster, was played by Lawrence Fishburne in Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. Or Ant-Man and the Wasp, the movie was called, yeah. But pretty much he gets this flashback of him protecting Black Widow, seeing his brother, and his brother kind of like dies of unfortunate circumstances because of it. And so this is very important for what's about to happen, as on his hover bike he gets blasted by a trick arrow, which is counting down from 6 seconds. He's on his sky cycle just above Coney Island on the F train, and it explodes. He's falling down, lands on the F train, and there's some dude standing over him. He's like, I know who it is. I know we'd meet each other one day. And he's like, there's no way. It's my brother, Barney. He's become this guy sent to kill me. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Reference
Nah.
to reference to Quicksilver talking to Hawkeye. Didn't see that one
Yeah.
coming. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You did not see that one coming.
Yeah. And then insert Yoda death from Lego Star Wars.
That's the true ship of Marvel.
Yep.
Quicksilver and Hawkeye.
Quicksilver and Hawkeye. Yep. Lovers forever. But yep, they end up giving a little backstory on how Barney had died, and clearly they talk about Zemo as well. How Zemo had fallen in love with this girl named, I think her name was Karen or Clara or something. Anyway, she wasn't good
Karen.
and she was about to explode or something like that. And so Hawkeye shoots her with an arrow and she turns into like these eggs
What?
called moonstones. Or her powers go back into those moonstones pretty much.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that one explained.
So she was a science experiment for Zemo. Zemo is, scientist dude. And
Oh, wait. Yeah, I know.
okay. And yep, turns into like zaps her into moonstones and Zemo's pissed. He's like, "No, that was my lover. I'll get revenge on it, I swear." And he does. He finds Barney and is like, "Welp, I'm going to freaking bring this man to life." And then have him trained as an archer to kill his own brother, who I'm going for revenge. Back to the train, where they're literally trying to stab each other with their arrows. And,
Baron Zemo.
yep, Baron Zemo. And
Zemo is like
he's a very sick character. He's pretty cool.
no, like Thanos is dangerous and all, but Zemo though,
Zemo's twisted. Zemo's a very deranged man.
he's a freak.
He is. But yeah, they're fighting, but since Hawkeye's clearly going blind and is completely in shock from the fact that his brother is still alive and trained as an archer sent to kill him, isn't expecting the bolas, I'm pretty sure that's what they're called, to tangle him up, and then he hits himself against the train again, and his brother explains that he is the new trick shot. He is 2.0 trick shot. And then he's like, "All right, little brother, time to take a nap." And he's knocked out, he's unconscious, wakes up in the carnival, and he's like, where the hell am I?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about that. You're going on a ride." And he gets pulled up, zoom, and he's on. I made stupid pun again. By the way, for
I didn't catch that.
Astro World. I mean Astroland. I mean it's lit. Anyway, funny joke. Funny joke. Anyway, zoom.
It's lit, fam.
It's lit. Anyway, zoom. There goes the roller coaster, but Hawkeye got it. He frees himself from the ropes, gets off, lands back on the floor, and then Trick Shot's like, we're doing this again. And he blows up the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel starts rolling towards Hawkeye, and he's like, I cannot believe this is happening again for a second time. A Ferris wheel exploding is ruining my life. And he pretty much here's the Ferris wheel getting hinged, rolling off, and and they're pretty much like he's running away from the Ferris wheel, and he's like, "Look, I had no idea that you had when you had died that you were actually technically not dead, but just very unconscious and slim to death."
Mm.
And he's like, "You had your chance. Look at where it got me. I died, but no, I'm back." And so Hawkeye pulls the most Chad move out there, and he's like, "Well, I need a very big solution to stop this very big Ferris wheel." And he takes in some pim
Quick
particles.
arrow.
Nope, pim particles. He drinks it again. Doop doop doop. Goliath grows big. Here's him slam it over the Ferris wheel. But whoa, he's going unconscious. Why? Because when he got bigger, so did the brain and the things in his head that were making the tumor, or not tumor, but like the blunt force trauma, the like stretching of it got a lot bigger, and so head hurt, and here's him like crashing
Head
down
hurt
again.
because got bigger.
Head hurt because too big. Um, he crashes down. He shrinks back down to normal because it's like, this really hurts. My brain is gonna explode. And he goes into the House of Mirrors, hunting Barney down. He's like, "You want to meet the guy that never gave up on me, the man that made me who I am today?" And he's like, "No, I know that voice. I know who it is." And he starts like his vision starts to fade out. He can't really see that well. He starts seeing his brother's grave with the hand coming out. Pretty cool. Because he's reborn thanks to Zemo. And here it is. He's like, I'm pretty sure I'll accept your, prostration, or I guess that's like your whatever, as a sign of submission. He's like, "You did this," and he's like, "Yep, I swore to you." Her name was Carla, not Karen. Whatever, close enough. But he's like, "I swore that you would regret the day you took Carla." And "You did this all over a woman." He's like, "She loved me more than you." And Hawkeye bantering, but his eyesight is completely worsening. He cannot see anymore, and he goes blind. Rip. Hawkeye. But Zemo, being Zemo, is like, "Take your cowl back. See with pretty much whatever you can of this. Make whatever you can of it, and you're gonna have to fight your brother to the death in an archery fight, and the winner will get a ton of money, but also the ability to live." And he's like, "We don't have to do this, Barney," and he's like, "Yeah, we do." And the this is the last image Hawkeye sees before he goes completely blind, and he puts on the cowl and he can barely see. This is what he sees pretty much, like his last images. So he is completely blind, like inability to see. His eyes will not send images to his brain, and he starts shooting at them with trick arrows. One blows up, right? And then here's whoopoosh. He starts hitting him with a bunch of trick arrows. He hits him with the sonic arrow, and he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "This isn't you. It's not you. It's like this isn't how I'll see you. You'll always be a hero." And he's like, "You did, you know." He's like, "Ew." They start fighting pretty much again. They're like beating the crap out of each other. English is tough for me. Sorry guys, but
Is that what he says?
yeah, pretty much. That's yeah. A symptom of going blind is the inability to speak English. But anyway, he's like, this isn't what it's supposed to be. You were supposed to be a hero just like me. And he gets clipped with a bunch of arrows, gets knocked out, and Zemo's pretty much like, is there a reason you haven't killed him yet? He's completely freaking blind, and pretty much there's like he's like just blind shooting arrows at this point, right? He's like blind archery. This is a new for me. And he's like, just blows up, and in comes his brother, just starts fist fighting the crap out of him. He's like, just like old times, he says. And his brother's like, that's the last word you got? And he's like, no, these are. And he's like, Dad would be so proud that he's turned into like a monster just like him. And he's like, you piece of. And he's like, I've heard that one before. And so he counter punches. He's like, time for something new. And they start fighting. He goes to kick him, but he's like, nope. He's like, what's going on? How'd you grab my leg? Can you see again? He's like, I didn't need to. You're making all the same moves before. You're making the moves that I made before you can make them. He's like, right, because I've gone through them. And he has one arrow left, and so he throws at him, but it misses. He's like, oh, what is this water? What do you think? I'm Electro. And so Trickshot takes his shot. Yeah, very funny pun. Anyway, Trickshot takes his shot, and Hawkeye catches it, and he's like, just because you shoot an arrow doesn't mean it's out of play. He's like, what the hell's going on? He's like, first lesson, you got to make every shot count. And then he chucks it back at him, and he's like, second lesson, anything can be a weapon in the right hands, and it stabs him through the like shoulder, clipping him against the wall, and then he gets decked in the face by Hawkeye, knocked out. And Zemo comes pretty much clapping. He's like, this is a great fight, good way of getting revenge. Made you fight your own brother. Um, and he's like, still, it's a surprise to me. Why don't we call this a draw? A loved one for a loved one. And he's like, nope, there's always some sort of violence involved with you. So he knocks him out. But he gets back up and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to transfer all the money that your brother had to you. You're now one of the richest people in the world. But all of this is sort of blood money. So, whatever. And right as Hawkeye goes to stab him, Zemo TP's out of there like a total Chad. Hawkeye passes out
Because he could just do
because he
that,
could just
apparently.
teleport. Yeah, Zemo. Um, and
Where's that at in the MCU?
I don't know, hasn't been invented yet. I don't know. But anyway, he passes out. His brain waves get like really bad, and the swelling goes off. So they've pretty much tracked the swelling in his brain and bring him back home with Barney. Um, And back at the Avengers compound, Dr. Blake starts treating Hawkeye, letting him know that the trace particles inside of him were able to be repurposed to shrink down the swelling and, slow down the trauma that's caused, or like the damage caused by the blunt force trauma. And he's like, but we need to act quickly. And he's like, I thought you said we couldn't operate on me. I thought you said this was like permanent. I was always going to be blind. And he's like, that was until we had your brother. He comes back. And he's like, with his bone marrow, pretty much, like the stem cells in his bone marrow can replace the brain, like the damage done by the brain.
Barney is a
Science. Woo!
Barney. Barney is a copyright from our copyright. Copyright of copyright.
Can we get that clipped? I want that. I want that in a video clipped, by the way, please. Thank you. Anybody in chat. But yeah, pretty much he's like, your siblings are perfect genetic match, 99%. This is our best and only option to repair the damage before it becomes permanent. So he's like, they operate on him. There's a countdown from 10. They operate, and he's like, welcome back. They tell him that he doesn't need the cowl anymore, but that they recommend wearing it to cushion that blunt force trauma, and that he shouldn't use the glasses, but but that he should hold on to it for medical emergencies in case he ever goes back to being blind. But here it is. Never know what might happen in the future. And he's like, "Where's Barney? He's in recovery." And he doesn't want to give up on Barney, so he gets up and walks out and goes to see him. He's like, I'm not giving up on you, and he's like, there's only one way out of this, and it's now that my blood's in yours, and it's like one of us is gonna end up killing each other, and I'm not gonna stop until it happens, pretty much. So Hawkeye's like, alright, well, whatever. He leaves, and decides that he wants to make amends with everybody. And thanks to Zemo, he has an idea of exactly who that is. And here's him getting ready to make the amends. Comic ends. Woo! Alright, Addicts, pop quiz. Name every character in this image. Go.
All right, that's Hawkeye
Yes,
in the
sir.
middle. That's Hulk in the top left.
Mhm.
That's Thor in the top right.
Mhm.
That's crazy chick.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
In the right bottom right, that's Doomfist.
Doomfist. Gotcha. Gotcha.
All right. Uh,
Uprising. Or what does he say? Oh,
in the upright,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's blonde chick with Joker mask.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And bottom left, that's Captain America.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
know that one.
Do you know who this is?
Oh, I already said. All right. So
Okay.
in the very bottom right, that's looks like Ant-Man.
Yep. Ant-Man.
Uh,
Mhm.
in the bottom right,
Mhm.
kind of looks like Magneto, but that's not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. And the left beside that's about it.
You know who this is?
Who?
Do you know who this is?
Ain't that Black Widow?
Yep. You know who anybody up here is?
Nope.
All right. Black Panther, Vision, Namor, Scarlet Witch, Kate Bishop, Wasp, Luke Cage, his wife Bobby Morse, Iron Fist, Captain Marvel, or at this point she's Miss Marvel, Mantis,
You're
Black
asking too
Widow,
much of me.
yeah, Jessica Drew Spider Woman, my favorite version of Spider Woman, and probably Spider Man, honestly. Um, this is
That picture of Hawkeye
Hercules.
though.
Yeah, fantastic. What a grin.
It looks like Thanos.
The purple does give him that look. And so this pretty much concludes Hawkeye. I did want to go over his involvement with the West Coast Avengers, but the simple fact that there's just so much going on, and I feel like more of that could be put towards Mockingbird, or yeah, Mockingbird than Hawkeye. Um, but again, Hawkeye is still he's pretty much one of the goats. He's a Thunderbolt, a Defender, an Avenger, West Coast Avenger. He's done solo stuff. He has a ton of comics. If any of you guys want any comic information, you guys want, hey, Micro, what kind of Hawkeye comics do you think are really good for me to read? You can always like what
And just
Hawkeye?
nobody answers.
Yeah. Um, Definitely, yeah, no response. If you guys want to start anywhere, definitely this one is pretty good. The one I just covered. Ooh, where is it?
Yeah, no, that's like really well
This is
designed.
really, really well, really greatly illustrated. Well
Except for that
thought
first
out.
one. That first one was kind of
Which one?
questionable.
Oh, that top one. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very oof. But it was the 60s. I wouldn't recommend unless you wanted to go back and read all those 60s comics to start there, because they are completely different than what's going on now. But I
I
would.
get it.
You guys can start here. Hawkeye's Blind Spot is a very good origin story to him. But if you guys have any suggestions, you can always email me at the link above, marvelousmarvelbuddies@gmail.com. If you guys want to vote for the next week's character, the Google form is up top there as well. And for anyone that wants to catch up or is behind on the YouTube or on the episodes, maybe you missed an episode, maybe you want to, go back and take a look. Maybe you want to see who I covered earlier on. There is the YouTube channel for you guys to check out. Marvelous, Marvel Buddies YouTube channel. But yeah, that is Hawkeye. That is all of Hawkeye. What do you think, Addicts? Do you
So,
enjoy?
as
Okay.
a character, I'm not like the biggest fan of him.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
as a side character and just the overall comic structure, it was
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yep. That is the general consensus when it comes to Hawkeye. People genuinely believe he is a good like street level character, like a good Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist sort of level. Um, but like I very much believe that Hawkeye is a good glue for the Avengers roster. I mean, like if you look at it, like you have characters like Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, like running around and like being god level characters, and the fact that Hawkeye is grounding them and like, hey, you guys gotta, not be Titan killers, but also take care of like the street level
Let's
kind
go
of
play
stuff.
golf though.
Yeah, that too. I'm sure he could. I'm sure he'd win everything in like par, or hole in one, everything. Um, but yeah, he is a definite
Master of the mundane.
master of the basic. Um, but he is very much, in my opinion, a like a lot of people definitely see him as a street level character and nothing more. But I definitely think he has a little bit more to him than that. But with all that is Hawkeye. Um, you want to give the Archer a grade? The not Archer von Krieger, but I mean this
I was
Archer.
gonna say Archibald Krieger 10.
Yeah, that 11 out of 10 for that guy, 100 out of 10. Hopefully
But
Archer's watching.
For Clint Barton, the comic book variant of him, honestly, like a 4.
Oof, that's tough. That's tough.
But Jeremy Renner version, an 8.
Ooh, okay, okay. Wow, that was real tough for Hawkeye. A 4. I got
Because I love Jeremy Renner,
yeah,
but I'm not a big fan
not a big
of
fan of
this
Hawkeye.
character.
We gotta, you know what I gotta start doing? I gotta start putting all your grades on a score sheet and just see what you're rating these characters for me, like just like how good or bad they are. Um, yeah. Unfortunately, there's a
For
lot.
your coverage, though,
Mm-hmm.
for your coverage, definitely like 10.
Woo! I'll take it. Um,
You very well covered the character.
Thank you. There's a lot with Hawkeye. Hawkeye is he's been around clearly. Tales of Suspense, he's been around from the beginning. If anyone doesn't know what these comics are, Tales of Suspense, Tales to Astonish, Tales to Frighten, that kind of stuff, those are like the original Marvel comics before the superhero era, right? This is the like Bronze Age of comics, Silver Age almost. Some people would consider. With this, it's I can talk about them because you don't ever hit the Golden Age until like Spider-Man #1, X-Men #1 kind of stuff. But these are like old comics that are like there are like the Werewolf Man or the Mummy or the creature from the Blue Lagoon kind of comics in there, and then they hint like, oh, here's Iron Man, here's Thor the God, Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of situation, right? Like
The
stuff, the
God of
Fantastic
Destruction.
Four, yep. And it's pretty much like little like the way you would have in the back of newspapers, like the comic strips there, like Garfield would be this, but like a little more detailed of like how they're doing it until they come out with like Spider-Man #1, Hawkeye #1, stuff like that, and Marvel becomes their media conglomerate that they are today. But with all that being said, this is Hawkeye. Any final words or comments, addicts, before I close up the episode for the week?
Nothing really.
Yep. Well, that was that. Hope to see you guys next week, Monday. Later.
Unless he cancels at the last second.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.